Welcome back to Faith and Fire. In some recent conversations, we've done conversation card roulette. And it's a fun and exciting episode where we talk through a number of topics. And one topic that just keeps getting pulled is a question about something that you learned in the darkest time in your life. And it keeps coming up over and over in conversations. So we might as well talk about it because clearly this is supposed to be a conversational Faith and Fire. So today we're going to talk about finding ourselves in some of the darkest moments of our life and how that shows up in each of our lives a little bit differently. So around the table with me today, I have Barbara back. Hi, welcome. Rell and Asia. And we're going to talk about this. Hey, y'all. Hey. Okay. Oh, I like the harmony there. Spoke to the choir member in me. So I think we're all going to talk a little bit about, what it's like to find yourself in some of the darkest moments. But I know, Rell in particular, we were talking about your fitness journey. And this just resonated so much with how you've really found how you're showing up now in one of those dark moments. Can you tell me a little bit about that journey, what sparked it, how you found yourself?
Yeah, I know previously we talked about awakenings in a sense. To tap into a little bit more around it is understanding more around my own awakening. It was in 2019 when I was on my fitness journey. Now, already going through a spiritual journey, just trying to find myself in different faiths, again, going through different Christian, AME, Catholic, Jehovah's Witness, Muslims, trying to find so many different identities to find the truth, to trying to find the voice, the one single purpose. But after finding that piece there and coming to terms of my spirituality, in a sense, it was understanding my physical sense. And when I moved from Chicago and came here, it was strength finding. Strength finding is different from each person in a sense. And when you go to a lot of these gyms along the way, you find out trainers that hey, we'll build a program for you specifically and it's going to be great and it's going to make you look right and nice and tight and you get everything ripped and stuff. But that's not true. Then you get New Year's resolutions man, I'm going to do this and I'm going to be great. And it doesn't work. And then you find out why. Because oftentimes you find yourself on a program that's not programmed for you. It's programmed for someone else. And people naturally sell you on a dream that's not naturally your dream. And I found myself in 2019 coming to terms with, okay, well, what does fitness look like for me? What does strength training look like for me? And I came across an institution and it really focused on strength training, hit cardio, and it really practiced around meditation. And from there, it helped me identify, meditation? I was already on this journey. I already wanted to know about myself anyway. I was already doing my aura readings and finding my light and my energy. But it told me to let out that voice inside of me that needed just to scream, to cry, to get out in anger. I was like, no, this can't be real. It's so much power in breathing techniques. Taking a moment to pause and reflect and giving that moment. But an incident happened to me in 2019 that I never thought that would happen. And it was so crazy. It's so cliche and it just sounds so common. I ended up tearing my Achilles in 2019. And it was at a company event that I was actually partaking in, and I was in denial. I was stubborn. So I spoke before and being stubborn. Yeah, I don't listen to voices. I went to several doctors and I went to several specialists, and they all said the same thing. It was hey, you need to do this surgery because it's going to take you 8 months to recover, because after this surgery, you're going to be better. You're going to be well, but technically you will still not be you. What do you mean I won't be me? That don't sound right. I go to you for help. You're supposed to put me back together.
Right.
And after I did the scans, and now keep in mind, this is the end of 2019. So I toured in November. I didn't get seen from a specialist until late December. And if you all are doing the calendar part of this, the world is already start to slowly but surely shut down. So a lot of things was not available. But when I went to a specialist and I had my screenings, I gave them my scans, and it was like, sir, how are you walking? Like, you've been walking? I was like, yeah, what's wrong? It was like, you have like 37% remaining of your Achilles. It's nothing there. I was like, well, what do you do to put it back? You just put it back, right? It's like you fill it with something. It was like, sir, no, you need surgery. I was like, okay, tell me my options. And he went through and he started identifying, well, if you do, just a regular surgery, I'm like, okay, don't tell me that. What's the recovery? Tell me that part. Well, okay, again, if you do the surgery, well, it'll take you anywhere between 8 to 9 months. You kind of be out, but you'll have a boot on. And then from there, you're looking at maybe like 6 to 7 months, you'll have a splint on. And then we'll see after that, you may be looking at least maybe 5 more months in the boot.
That's a lot
all
of
of
months.
that's okay. I'll do it if I have to do it. I'm a dad of 3. Like, I'm very active in my kids' life. It's no like, hey, I'm going to watch my kid at a game. No, I'm in the game with my kids, participating and doing everything. I just got into hiking. I'm into doing HIIT cardio. So will I be able to do these things? And I'll never forget the look on the doctor's face. He said, no, you won't be able to like jog and run and be active. I'm going to be honest, you won't even walk the same. And that hit me. It's like, how was I so careless? Like, everything that I've worked for is my life. Oh, like, this can't be true. You mean to tell me that I wouldn't even walk the same because of this? Something so careless? He's like, yeah. Now, give me another option. He was like, yeah, well, you can do, what the athletes use, and you can do like, a little stem, and we can use the certain cells and the graft and everything. That's going to be like thousands of dollars. But hey, you got it. You can do it. And you'll be back in no time. Okay, if that's my option, I'll take it. But what's the recovery looking like? Well, you're going to be 6 to 7 months in the boot. You may be like 8 to 9 months in a splint. And then you're going to be like 3 months in a specialty boot. I'm sorry. I don't think your logic is right, because you just said everything you told me previously, just in reverse. Why would I go with either one of those options? Well, don't listen to me. I'm just a doctor. I've only been here for, some years. You can go to another one. And I left. I went to another doctor to get another analysis done. And he read my screens. He like, man, you're screwed. I was like, oh, that's what I come here for. Thank you, because my copay pays for this. I know what my body is. Give me an option. And he told me both the options, the surgery and then the stem option. Then he said, you can go a holistic route. I mean, that's common. I was like, holistic? Wait, I know this. Tell me more of this holistic. It was like natural. Find ways that way. And from there, I was like, okay. He said, but you wouldn't be right. You wouldn't get back to being you, any option you choose. But because I am stubborn, I went holistic. I listened to my body. And for 6 intense months, I put myself through physical therapy and rehab, and then the world shut down. I had no place to go. But for me, that wasn't an option. I still found ways to train. Going outside, putting on a weighted vest, going around the area, going up and down the stairs in the condo that I lived in at the time. I found ways to train. And when the world finally decided to open back up and they did open gyms, I was in there with the first thing smoking. And I was overtraining my leg. And then after the 7th month, I went back to see a specialist. And he looked at my films and he said, I remember you. I remember you when you were in denial and you said you didn't even know. You thought this was a bruised tendon. You have healed by 78%. What the bleep did you do? I was like, I didn't do what you all told me to do. I did what the universe allowed me to do. I listened to my body. I did everything that I knew to do and worked on that and strengthened that. I'm going to tell you, like, you're not like a patient or anyone. I'm going to talk to you like a family member. Continue to not listen to us. Continue to listen to yourself and do everything that you need to do to get yourself out of this dark moment. I was like, but do you all validate? Because at the end of this, because I could have used this time to continue my training. But I love that. I love that he told me that, because what my kids see me do was endure. What my family seen me do was endure. Coming out of a rut, because for me, strength training was something unknown. Being a bigger person in life and finding myself being a different size of trying to accommodate, like, oh man, like, well, Rell, he's the bigger guy, so he's not going to run and jump and hike and do all these things. No, I'm very adventurous. I love supercar racing. I love skydiving, bungee jumping. I do a lot. I'm very active. And to hear that the powers that be told me that I couldn't be me, no, that's not possible. And when I found that I healed myself 78%, I took a step back and I was like, well, I'm not done. My body has more in the tank. And when I got back into doing HIIT cardio, I'll never forget. And I credited this man today. I said, I'm back because you told me something that I didn't believe in. And he told me, you're stronger than you allow yourself to be. And I was like, wait, what do you mean? And going every day hard in the, doing HIIT cardio and doing the gym. He was like, man, you got so much in the tank and you don't even know it. And then 2 days later, someone said, hey, you want to go see what real people lift? I was like, oh, this is disrespectful. I'm already in the gym. But I went to powerlifting. I went to a powerlifting mock meet and I saw an individual, a female actually, lift 300 pounds like it was nothing. And instantly I was sold. I was like, this is home. And then I saw my coach. At the time, he wasn't my coach. And I was like, okay, he's a big guy. Wait, he's a big guy. And I remember talking to him and he looked me dead in the eyes and said, I'm not going to build you a program that's for everyone. I'm going to build this for you and your body. And that was the first time someone talked to me and not at me. And I remember how that resonated, because just growing up in my life, going through so many different cycles, people often confuse conversations of having natural conversations, thinking that they're talking to you when they're talking at you.
Yes.
And like going to powers that be doctors and learning certain different moments where you need to rely on them, and they believe that they're talking to you when they're talking at you. And you put your trust and you put your faith in them. And I don't want to discredit and I don't want to knock any, practitioner in that sense. But for me in my journey, it wasn't the right one. I had to take my own journey and my own discovery and really rely on the holistic route to kind of heal myself in that dark moment. And for me, that was my journey into fitness really, and getting into more powerlifting, to the point where I found out that I did have more in the tank. Start doing that and start believing in myself and coming out of dark times. And then I found out my story resonated with others, because others had the same process. They went through the same trials and tribulations. And by doing so, they had their moment of aha. They had their awakening moments and being able to tap into who they were more physically.
Yeah. Wow. What a powerful story. And it's funny because I'm looking at you and I feel I feel you, Barbara, just radiating over here on this side. Like, I know you got something to say. No. Okay. What is this that I feel? And the smile on your face.
When you learn how to heal yourself is when you start healing others.
See, I knew she had something And she just dropped
that
dropped a wisdom bomb right there. That's so beautiful. So it's interesting because all of this happened, it sounds like, on the heels of what had already started to be like a faith journey for you and exploring different faiths. How did the two intersect during that time? Like, how did your faith show up in that experience, in that moment, in that journey?
Well, I was already going through, different tribulations, being married, and at that time, and it was just, we had different waves of roller coasters of ups and downs, and it was just more so me trying to find out who I was in the sense of being married. When you have your partner, when you have family members, when you have your circle, and then you find out who's really in the trenches with you. And in that time, there was supportive people. And then I found out there was a lot of non-supportive people. You find out the people who are in your areas that really draws your energy away from you, and they take from that energy. And for me was now going back to the foundation of my faith, of understanding how God uses me in a sense, and more so how my responsibility of having my relationship even stronger in my faith is more important, because now it's not so much me being instrumental for myself, but for those around me seeing in this moment, because I could have crumbled. I could have said, well, I'm not going to do any of this. I could have been walking around with a limp, and here's another obstacle in life. Well, statistically, as a black man, was like, well, I'll just give in and I'll cave in. But no, you go against the grain, because certain things in how the world is set up isn't set up for a win. It isn't set up for you to succeed. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things where I prayed every night, having those deep, long conversations, and to the point, not to sound, you never think that you want to sound crazy, you think, do you hear me? Are you listening to me, God? And honing in on the fact that sometimes no response is the best response.
Ooh.
And you can reflect on the things that you truly need to reflect on when you remove all of the distractions. Mm. And then that's when you hear the voices that you really need to hear. Mm. And at times, it's your voice. Mm. And then you see how God is using you to be instrumental in front of others.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So that's so impactful. And the story just resonates so much with me personally. I know I've had some dark times and really found who I am in those moments. Have y'all experienced anything like that in your lives? I mean, as you're listening to the story, what comes to mind?
In a previous session, I talked about, just different things I've been through, and definitely, yes, I've experienced that. It started again when I was young. When I was 12 is when I would say everything really started. I said before, I have a brother, and my brother was my best friend. I mean, we're older now. He just turned 50, put him out there. But my best friend. Mm-hmm. I was a tomboy in every means of the word. I have two other sisters, and we were not like me and my brother. I used to sneak and be like, can I sleep in his room? My mom was like, no, you're a girl. You cannot be sleeping in the room with your brother. You're getting too old. But I just loved him. Mm-hmm. And when I was 12 years old, I used to run track. I ran track through high school too, but I ran track and stuff. And I used to go see my cousins up in Virginia. And I was there. No, I was actually in Texas. And I remember they got a call from my parents, and everybody's crying. I didn't know what was going on. And everybody played it off. I remember going back to Georgia, and in the car, I was like, where's my brother? Now, at the time, my brother was 21.
Yeah.
Where's my brother? I'm ready to see Jamel. Where's Jamel? Right? And, he's at the house. And then they tell me, Asia, you got to come sit down at the kitchen table. I'm like, what? Jamel's in jail. And I was like, what? Oh. My brother had joined the military, and he had came home because he had an asthma attack. We all had asthma pretty bad as kids. And which I'm going to circle back to this about the asthma story, because I'm going to tell y'all again why I realized that God was real. Okay. But he called and I talked to him and I didn't quite understand it. And I was 12 years old having to go visit my brother in prison. My brother didn't get out of jail until I was 29 years old going to Korea.
Wow.
I had just had my son. My brother did 15 years. And he called my parents and said, if I said you can come get me tomorrow, would you? My mom said yes. They lost my transcripts. There's nothing in writing for why I'm in prison. You can come get me.
Wow. What?
Yeah, Georgia's a place for you. I'm telling you. Not kind to us. But I remember the whole time that I was a kid being told, God puts nothing more than you can handle. He's been chosen to go through this and he's strong. And, when you're a kid, you're like, but why are you taking my best friend? And he did his best to still be there through letters, telling me to read these different books. Donald Goins is like, I love all the books. I know they're not books that I should have been reading at 12, but I was, and my brother thought he was teaching me certain stuff by telling me to read certain books. But I learned through that how to wait through things. And that might not make sense to a lot of people, but I had to wait a very long time to be able to hug him for longer than 10 seconds. Because, you can't hug people in prison for long because they think that even if that's your brother, you can't hug them. You can't do it. Right. You can't do anything. But through that, I look at my brother now and I wonder about his darkest moments. Ooh. I probably wonder about his more than I wonder about mine. And it kind of helps you understand why people are the way that they are, right? My brother's a great person. I don't want y'all to think that he's not. He's a great person. But to be accused, so he was accused of armed robbery. My brother was in basic training when the gas station was robbed. Wow. There's no way you can rob a gas station if you're in basic training.
Yeah.
The individual was light-skinned, green eyes. Me and my brother look like twins.
And for those listening, she's not light-skinned and she does not have green eyes.
No, I don't. And so, we went through a lot. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. I had built up a strong hatred, and I'm going to say that, for certain groups of people that came after us. I had people who followed me to school. This is no lie. Because my father, his job, they were like, oh, we have to watch these people. We were these northern people in this little town and we didn't act like everybody else. And it was just a horrible time. It was the 90s. I mean, I'm talking about moving to a town where they still had signs up that said blacks to the back. And this is in the 90s.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So that was like my first little dark spot, because I'm going to school and people who I thought were my friends, their moms and dads are cutting out newspaper articles and I'm going to their house and they're like, your brother went to jail? What? Mom, can I fight her? It was hard.
Yeah.
Wow.
People who didn't want to be my friend because of this and that, but they didn't know me. And so I became guarded. So then I came in the military, right? And I was this little bitty thing, y'all. I graduated high school at 67 pounds. No lie. I did not have an eating disorder. I was just small, right? So I came in the military. I was different, right? I went through different things, different traumatic experiences we ain't gonna talk about right here. But then I met a guy, married him. And why did I marry him? So I go to therapy. I had to realize it's okay for me to go to therapy, right? Because I had to understand a lot that was going on with me, right? And to get to where I needed to be spiritually, I had to do that. And I'm still going through it. But during therapy, my therapist asked me, she's like, well, do you understand why you stuck with your husband so much? Well, when I got married, he had gotten into a little something. And I felt like I had to stick beside him because nobody stuck beside my brother.
Okay.
And I wasn't going to leave him because I didn't want nobody to ever leave my brother. Wow. So no matter what he did, He was my right, I was his left. And that was it. Right? Yeah. And I thought that if I loved him through every single thing, that maybe I could help fix whatever it was that was there. And maybe I could save him because I couldn't save my brother. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That makes perfect sense.
It was so deep that I found myself doing that in every situation. And it was dark for me because I lost me. Everything that I thought I knew about myself was not. You know, I write poems. One of the poems that I wrote was, I find myself walking in your footsteps, talking the way you talk, dressing the way you dress, acting as if I was you. And I say that because it's a reality. When you love so deep and you're in something that you think is great, but it's dark. It is, because you're losing every bit of yourself. You're melting away to somebody else, literally.
Yeah.
And that's where I was for so long. But going through that, I will tell you, God showed up for me in so many ways. I remember when I really started getting, having my prayer closet and going there, I would just go in there and I would be praying, I would fall asleep. But then every night for years, and it started happening again to me, I would wake up 2:30, 3 o'clock every night.
Yeah.
Up. Looking around, wondering what's going on. Not realizing that was happening because he was talking to me and he was trying to get me to know things. And I was envisioning things and seeing things, but not really understanding. I'm just fighting it, trying to go back to sleep. That period of time, there's a lot of other things that happened during that time period. I didn't understand. I was getting thrown stuff. But each and every last one, I fought in a different way. I had another situation during that same time period, work related, where, some people came after me. And, the military is a cruel place at times, right? I had a group of friends. Let me talk about this. This was a real dark time for me, 2020. COVID was happening, but I had a group of friends, people I thought were my friend. I was their friend. They were sisters to me. Like, literally, when I say I would have gave my last, I did. If they needed it, I had it. You could have it. But some non-truths were told, and I spent a lot of time wondering why.
Yeah.
Why? And I questioned a lot of things about me, like, oh, maybe is it me? What's going on? And I literally, I would have these panic attacks back to back to back. Because I'm going to tell y'all one thing too. I'm a fighter. I'm very sweet, but I am a fighter. And in me, every bit of me was like, what is going on? I was ready. Okay.
Yeah.
But I couldn't be like that because what was that going to prove? It wasn't going to prove anything. So I had somebody tell me something. And if anybody sees me on Facebook, it says it clear as day. You don't have to explain who you are. Let your character do that.
Yes.
And at that moment, believe it or not, I stopped explaining the situation because you're going to believe what you want to believe. But if you know me, and I think most people, you spend a couple minutes with me, you'll know that none of that was true, right?
Yeah.
And from that, let's just say a lot of people got fired. And I didn't even know it. And I'll tell you, I broke down so bad when everything came out and it was all in my favor. And I did nothing. You know what I did? I was quiet.
Wow.
God taught me how to be quiet.
Be patient.
Mm-hmm. Be patient. Mm-hmm. I talked about that. I didn't have patience. And I learned about different angels. And when I would pray, I would say, Archangel Michael, Raphael, watch over me. And I believe they did. I know they did. Because I was able to walk out on the other side of things. And today, here I am 23 years in the military later, and I'm good, But to circle back, and I'm sorry, I hate to circle back like this, but when we talk about the darkest times and finding your faith, I told you I had asthma My brother had asthma. We were real bad asthmatics. And my grandmother's brother, my uncle, we went to his house one day. We were moving to Washington. And I used to have these asthma attacks so bad. I used to hate my medicine. So if you know anything about amoxicillin, I hated it. Yeah. And I couldn't take pills, right? So my mom would try to give it to me. Like, listen, I can't even, I don't even eat scrambled eggs to this day because that was just a thing. It's a long story.
She hid it in the eggs, not the eggs.
Cause everything I liked. I don't eat peanut butter. I don't eat sprinkles.
She hid it in everything you like.
Fruity Pebbles.
She said
traumatized.
Sprinkles on cupcakes because they make me look. It looks like the medicine. And if I bite it, it's over.
It's trauma because I don't drink milk.
Oh yeah, I don't drink that either. No, but I say all that to say my uncle prayed over me that day.
Okay.
I never had an asthma attack again.
What?
On everything I love.
That's amazing.
Wow.
He prayed over me that day, and I never had another asthma attack.
Did your uncle take requests?
He passed away.
Oh no.
Yeah, but it was. I just remember standing there like, okay, but it never happened again.
Wow.
Amazing.
And I was bad. My mom used to have to wrap me in a blanket and run me to the hospital with my dad because we had one car. And she would wrap me and run through base housing with me in a blanket. I'd be 5-6 years old because I would be having an asthma attack and I had to have a treatment. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
That is deep.
So I say all that to say, even in your darkest moments, God is there. And it's so true when they say the footprints in the sand, he's carrying you. He's carrying you. So you just have to listen to whoever your creator, whoever you believe in.
Yeah.
And just know that they are there with you in the hardest of times.
I can't wait to read your book, Aisha.
I can't wait to read your book. This is amazing. Now I'm seeing why I'm on this segment here. Dark times. Wow.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That's amazing. And Barbara's just looking at me doe-eyed, like just big eyes. Just, I see the thoughts just running through her head. What's going on in there, Barbara?
You know, I'm looking and thinking. I'm thinking about my past. But one thing I'm realizing for everybody is, at your darkest time is when the person that's supposed to save you, that's supposed to be your messenger, is right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, we all have trials and tribulations. Jessica, I don't know, you might know some of this, you might not. You know, I was abandoned, adopted, tried to de-adopt me. Like with the de-adoption, before that, I had shoplifted just because, didn't need to, but just because I was trying to gain, you know, my adoptive mom's attention. They were the first Black people I'd ever seen in my life when I was 5. Oh,
yeah.
My dad says 4. I still say 5. But my biological mom's white, my dad's Black, and I was left at a all-white foster family in Chicago, and they found out that I was Black and white. And once they found out I was Black and white, I started getting threatened. And Barbara Dunn, I don't know if I'm supposed to say names, but her name is Barbara Dunn, from the agency, came to the doorstep. First Black person I'd ever seen. Scared the mess out of me. So I was like, oh my gosh, she looks like me. And I met my adoptive family. Within 30 days, I was adopted. You like them? Perfect. They're going to be your new parents. I tried everything. I tried to start fires. I tried, because I was like, if I'm so bad, I can go back. Yeah. Right. And it just continued. It kept continuing. You know, they end up splitting, getting a divorce. And with my adoptive mom and I don't know if we're so much alike, because now we are kind of alike. But at the same time, it was to the point that I always had believed I put myself on, that I was put on this earth to hurt myself and to get rid of myself. by my own hands.
Okay.
And it was to the point that, now this is like 10, 11 on, and we always had a medicine cabinet in the hallway of our home that we had when we were in Illinois, not Chicago, but Illinois at the time. And every time that we had an argument, I would go there, I would get a bottle of pills, didn't care which one it was, and I just start popping them, hoping I would not wake up. And we ended up moving to Louisiana, and some things happened. I mean, she was super busy, amazing work. Like, she's bad. She's bad at that. She's like bad as in good, right? Yeah. And again, I started shoplifting. I was doing the most. I was wild. And I ended up shoplifting at the wrong time. I'm not saying I should ever shoplift at all, but I was brought 5 days after Christmas. I was brought to a facility, kind of like a charter hospital. And I was supposed to be there for 2 weeks. And I ended up staying there for 4 months. 2 of the 4 months, she came in, she had this basket, and it's still at my dad's house. It says friends on it. And she had a whole bunch of stuffed animals in it. And I'm sorry, I'm looking up because I'm trying to keep it together. And my therapist kept coming in like, if you don't tell her, I'm going to tell her. And I'm like, what is the problem? Like, I haven't seen this woman. Like, I'm telling her everything. And I guess it was too much because she basically said, I don't want to be your mom anymore. I'm de-adopting you. I'm going back to the courts and I'm saying, I don't, you're too much. And for 2 months, I didn't know where I was going to stay. And at the time, my father was dating somebody. And she came with my dad. And instead of going to live with my father, like my dad said no for the de-adoption because he had to have said, right? And instead of going to live with my dad, I went to go live with her and her young daughter, who then became my sister. And she was 2 at the time. And we lived in California, and I ended up being valedictorian in my 7th grade class. Like, I was excelling. But every time at Christmas, I was always getting this. And I would always write down in books, I'm meant to hurt myself. I'm meant to kill myself with my own hands. And I mean, I would put pictures, and they were such the beautiful family. They would be sitting downstairs watching TV, and it would be the 3 of them. And I would come down, and all heck would break loose. And I'm just like, they deserve better. They deserve me being in jail or dead. They'd be better off without me. And because I always thought I was a stain. And my dad had this condo in Scottsdale. This was all in Arizona. And we went to the Sears store one day. And I stole something. And I took it and I looked at the cameras. So they knew that I had stolen it. And I put it in my pocket and they said, hey, we're stopping you. And she became my mom, by the way, because on my way to go live with her, I was like, hey, can you be my mom? Because I kind of don't have one. And she was like, yeah. And I told the security guy, I was like, hey, I belong in jail. So take me to jail. And he was like, okay, this girl's crazy. And I woke up and my door was getting taken off. My dad was like, if you want to be in jail, I'm going to let you be in jail. Like, you ain't going to have no privacy. And I will never forget this day. My mom was wearing a purple robe with a whole bunch of patches on it.
Yeah.
And we had this table. It's a round table. And I was so quiet. And she sat down. This is before she even became a pastor. And she sat there, and I was just quiet, and tears are just coming down my eyes. And she said, I know what you're about to do, and I'm asking you, don't. Then I just looked at her. I looked down, I looked up, tears are coming. I'd never said, like, what are you talking about? Anything. And she said, I know I have your sister, but I have you also. And don't take my first away. Don't take my first. Mom, I got an apartment. Mom, I'm pregnant. Mom, I'm this. She said, I want to have that with both of you. So I'm asking you, please don't take that away. When I say the person that is supposed to be there will be there at the time of one of your darkest moments, she saved my life.
Wow.
Wow. That's amazing.
So, yeah.
Oh my goodness. See, now Barbara, you got all of us up in here crying. All the tears are flowing. We should have asked for the box of tissue, but we didn't know. We was like, we gonna talk about fitness. No one gonna cry. But can I say, and so Barbara's my sister, y'all. It's interesting because we have such a big age gap, and I wasn't at an age where I knew what was going on in any of those ages. I can tell you that it wouldn't have been the perfect family without you. You are my big sister, and I have my entire life looked up to you. And only thing I've ever wanted in my life is to be closer to you. That's the only thing I've ever wanted. And so I just want you to know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, if you didn't already, that our lives would not be the same. We would not be the perfect family without you in it.
Thank you. That means a lot.
Okay.
Lord,
Wow.
mercy.
So this turned into a big episode, and this is why we're supposed to talk about this. And I've learned to be obedient. I've learned to be obedient to God and what He asked us to talk about, because He knew what we were going to talk about today, and I don't need to know until I know. And so, yeah. I guess if I were to say one thing I'm getting from this conversation, because we have 3 very different experiences, 3 very different stories. And if we kept talking for another hour, I'm sure we'd hear 3, 4, 5 more stories
Yeah.
around this table. But what I'm hearing is whatever that dark time is in your life, whether it's a dark time because you feel like you're never going to be you again, whether it's a dark time because you lose the person in your life that means the most to you, or, you know, you lose that person who gives you that strength, that person who, just that person, or whether it's a dark time because you can't lose you because you don't know if you ever found you.
Yeah.
I hadn't.
Yeah. No matter what that dark time is, there's a purpose to it. And someone's going through that dark time right now, and I need you to know, not only is there a purpose to what you're going through, but the right person at the right time is going to show up when you need them.
Yep.
And be there. And just like you said, those footprints in the sand, God's already there with you. It may not feel like it right now, but He's there with you in that moment.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love that, actually, because I resonate with both of your stories in a way. And I know you know to an extent. One of the things, my new darkest moment is now, finding myself as a single dad. Now going down that road, it's acceptance of knowing that you gave your all into a situation and you enable certain things, and never to discredit the other person. Is just that you understand your role, and you understand the role that you take and your ownership of a lot of it. Because again, some things that when you identify your new boundaries, it is one of those moments that you need to reflect on, because at one point is you come through, am I self-sabotaging and enabling certain situations in your darkest moments? Like, well, you're sabotaging yourself.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can be better. You're destined for greater things. you are abundant, you are light, you are loved, and accept all of those things. And when you are in those darkest times, you have to surround yourself with people to help resonate within you to know that about yourself.
Yes.
So this table right here is like, I truly appreciate each and every one of you. And I just met you all today. So, but again, so much of my life is just, I feel resonates within you.
Wow. I feel like we should all like put our hands in and be like, when our powers combine.
Right? Seriously.
But this just goes to show how many people really take the time out to know people.
Yeah.
Yes.
We walk around and we don't speak, we don't whatever, we keep walking, and that stops things like this.
Yeah.
How the world would be just totally different if we took the time out to speak.
Amen.
Yeah.
And to just talk.
Yeah. And we didn't even know we were going to, like, we didn't even know we were going to talk about
Sounds
this
like
today.
you know what
Exactly.
you're supposed to do, huh?
Yes.
Write that book.
Oh no,
There's more than that.
So much
More
more.
than that. Okay. She looking in your closet again. That's another episode. I'll link it. You could go ahead and
He's
watch
like,
it.
okay, wait a minute.
I'm
And
turning
you?
around my closet.
He said, "Look, leave my closet alone."
I was like, and you? He's
got a
like,
sliding door.
Oh no.
No.
Let me catch you up. Her spiritual gift is looking into people's closets. She just see it. Like, she don't even have to look in your closet. She just sees it. So be careful when you're around her because she going to see in your closet.
I don't mean to.
I love it. That's a whole
I
other
love
thing.
it. Go ahead, tell me my closet real quick.
You know you're not a failure at any of that, right?
Of course, yes. And I have to accept that and receive that.
So on the top part, you know that.
I know.
I'm talking about soul all the way down to the core. Do you truly believe that?
And that's one of the things each and every day I have to keep working up to, because it's that the grieving stage of that, the accepting stage of that. And that's one of the things where, like, at moments, I have my moments where I break. Because every day, you walk past a person, man, you're so happy. I love your smile. You got great energy. You don't see the hurt. You don't see the sadness. You don't see the anger. But you keep doing what you need to do. So, but I am being very receptive of that, though.
You're not a failure.
Oh,
To the core, I need you to know that.
yeah.
There's nothing you could have done.
True.
What's meant to be is going to be.
100%.
I told you she was up in people's closets. Okay. Y'all, this was an amazing conversation. Just, whoo. I appreciate y'all so much. Thank you so much for joining today. And,
welcome.
and being vulnerable.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you too for joining us. We'd love to have you as part of our table. As you see, we dive in. These people, he didn't know these people when we started. Like, it doesn't even matter, because when you're in this moment, when you're in this space, beautiful things happen. So be sure to join with us. Like, comment, share this with a friend who needs to hear that in their darkest moment, there's someone there.
Yes.
And that someone is also God. So thank you for joining us today. We can't wait to see you here next time on Faith and Fire.